you so much.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation today is by Kelly Brennan.
This is on my phone, so bear with me here. Oh, wow. It's tiny, tiny print. But I can't make bigger. Good morning. I was told this is the best poem in the world, and yes, it's a little short. I was shocked, confused, bewildered as I entered heaven's door, not by the beauty of it all, or the light, or the decor, but it was the folks in heaven who made me sputter and gasp. The thieves, the liars, the sinners, the alcoholics, all the trash. There stood the kid from 7th grade who swiped my lunch money twice. Next to him was my neighbor who never, ever said anything nice. Bob, who I always thought was rotting in hell, was sitting on cloud 9, looking incredibly well. I nudged Jesus. What's the deal? I would love to hear your take. How these sinners got up here. Glad he must have made a mistake. And why is everyone so quiet, so somber? Can you give me a clue? My child, he said, they're all in shock. No one thought they'd be seeing you. So the moral of it is, you can go to church, but it doesn't make you a Christian. No sooner than standing in your garage makes you a car.
Thank you, Kelly. And lead us in the pledge and four-way test, Rich Warfield.
Wow, I just saw Coach's name up there, all the way from Florida. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a moment out here as soon as we get the words. I'll just start it off. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, my dear friend, Mr. Yard, but I don't need it now, gave me the four-way test. I shouldn't be telling you that. The four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. And now our president, Terry Bortnick.
Good morning, Rotarians. Glad to see everybody's smiling faces this morning. We have just a few housekeeping reminders to take care of today. There will be a Foundation Board of Directors meeting after the meeting. So please, everyone, attend that. The Gala Committee Planning meeting, again, is Friday, March 1st. So that's not this Friday, the following Friday, noon to 1 over at the Community Foundation Boardroom. We've got some really good ideas and some new good processes going on. So I think it's going to be really a good year. Our donations this month are to Freedom House in Kent. This is the transitional housing facility for homeless veterans. And their motive is to get them back on their feet, get them out to where they can progress in their own lives without other people's aid. So at this point, what they need are just toiletries, personal hygiene items, and then of course any non-perishable foods that can be used to help these guys, women get back on their feet. Okay, so we have a special presentation today. Before we get to our speaker, we have some Paul Harris Awards to give, which is always a really special event in the club. So I'm going to start off by calling everyone up if they would come up, please. And that would be Mr. Tobin, Barbara Marshall. I don't think Mike Swain is here today, is he? No one saw him. Okay. Mimi Becker, and Jay Yard. If you'd please come on up. I have big shoes on today. Okay, so I'm going to start out by giving Tom and Barbara their pins. Tom is a Paul Harris +6 award. So there you go. And Barbara is a Paul Harris +7 award. Okay. Very, very nice. And I'm going to ask Tom to give out the other 2 awards since Tom donated some of his points toward their awards. So this is Jay's on top.
Jay's on the top.
Yeah.
All right. Jay? I will. I'll tell you what, I'll pin you, and I'm gonna give this to Barbara. Would you?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, geez, I just did the same thing. There it goes. It wasn't attached to anything. It just flew out of the box. Oh. Oh, go ahead. Congratulations, everyone. And congratulations to everybody. We're very proud of all of you. Okay, thank you. And at that, I'm going to let Mr. Tobin take the mic and
Yeah.
introduce our speaker.
Okay, great, thank you. Good morning, Rotarians. So, Dad, maybe you can remember how many years ago it was when you were and then and said, "Oh, I learned this thing about that's being set up at Hudson Community Foundation at the time." It's called Hudson Community First, and they have this amazing story in there. It was powerful what they're planning to do, and it seems so well organized. And ever since you've said that, I've had my eye on this organization and the people that have run it. And we have one of them this morning. Jennifer Fisher is with us this morning. She grew up in Ohio and has lived in Hudson since 2003. She owns her own business, JSF Editorial, and works as an editorial consultant with writers across the country. She's an active member of the Hudson community. She's been a volunteer with Hudson preschool parents, who we heard from to some extent last week, Hudson PTO, several levy campaigns, and is currently co-director of Hudson Community First, along with Laura Jones. She also continues to engage with her alma mater, the prestigious Bryn Mawr College, by volunteering with their admissions and fundraising outreach. Her husband, Scott, owns his own IT business. Her daughter, Emma, is a senior at The Ohio State University, and her son, Ben, is a sophomore at Loyola University, Chicago. Y'all may remember, some of you may remember, maybe 5 years ago, Ben was here with the Scouts, and I remember Ben has a big personality, and it was like, and I learned after the meeting, he was a freshman at the time, a high school freshman, and I'm like, oh man, this kid is going somewhere. He's really special. But anyway, if you'll all please give a warm welcome to my good friend Jennifer Fisher this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Very nice to be here with you all. That beautiful sunrise this morning, I was like, yay, bright sky. Hudson Community First, Tom graciously invited me to come here. Sorry, just getting a water here to sit without sliding off. To talk to you a little bit about our organization. Sorry, next slide. Who are we? Jennifer Fisher and Laura Jones, myself and Laura, I'm sure a lot of you know of Laura. We are the co-directors of the organization. We are advised by an executive board. We have an advisory board composed of about 50 administrators from the various schools here in Hudson. That includes the Hudson City School District, Montessori, Reserve, and Seton Catholic, and also interested business owners. And we meet with them approximately twice a year and get feedback and guidance from them. Our volunteer board is also about 50 strong. These are folks, community members, who step up when we ask for help, helping us host an event or sort of plugging in a variety of ways. Our Hudson High School Youth Board, we're about 175 kids are vibrant members of the board. They volunteer and plug in at the high school and also in the community as needed. And then we're proud of our Western Reserve Academy Youth Board. It's small, but it's got to start somehow. And we've reconnected with Reserve to try to support them in their endeavors. Wanda Bosch is the mentor to that group, and they've been able to plug in with a couple events that we hosted this year. So part of our mission is connecting with all the schools here in Hudson. So we're very excited about where this may go. So next slide. Here's our mission. We believe the health and wellness of our community is directly dependent on developing opportunities, skills, relationships, and values that young people need to be healthy, caring, and responsible. How do we accomplish that? Next slide. The 40 developmental assets. So I actually handed out this sheet to you all so you can sort of understand what it is we're looking to do. So as Tom referenced, it's my understanding that approximately 20 years ago, administrators, concerned individuals were seeing a real need in the community. The kids were embracing, the best word, but we're engaging in addictive behavior, and whether it was an obvious thing like drugs or whatnot, and it wasn't something that they were responding to. Most kids, you can't just sit them in a classroom and say, don't do this, do this. That was kind of going over their heads. And these individuals realized that there needed to be something more fundamental that they could use to help instill in these young people the ability to make smart choices. And so they discovered these 40 assets through the Search Institute in Minnesota. And the goal here is to educate and help young people assimilate and understand these assets, The more they do, the more likely they are to make healthy choices and avoid high-risk behavior. So that's the very essence of what Hudson Community First is. So how do we do that? Again, you can't just tell people, understand this asset, although as you can see, many of them are sort of evident and they might seem very obvious to us as adults, but as young people, not so much. And the more you can model behavior and showcase it, the more they will understand it. Next slide. So we engage in programming that's sort of twofold, proactive and reactive. The proactive, these are events that we host on an annual basis, and they educate young people about one or more of these various assets. So I'm going to showcase a few of them for you so you can appreciate what it is we do. This is Smile Day, hopefully evident by all the smiley faces. We do this in October, and we give cakes to the staff at the schools. We hand out bookmarks and stickers, which kids love because they slap all over everything. The elementary staff at the Hudson City Schools wear these T-shirts. It may sound very simple, but it's meant to showcase caring, how caring the community is for the young people. Then also in conjunction with Smile Day, next slide, is Take a Second, Make a Difference. And I'm hoping that some of you recognize this. This is a month-long initiative. This speaks to caring neighborhood. And the whole point of this is literally what the words are. Take a second, make a difference. We open nominations for folks to write in and nominate somebody who has literally taken time out of their day to impact a young person. Sometimes it's as simple as a family moves in and a neighbor comes over with a pie or cookies to greet them. And that was one young person wrote in about that. We had a scout leader who was nominated by several boys in his troop who spoke to the fact that he went above and beyond in a way that he didn't need to do. None of these people do this for the recognition. We all know that. But to be recognized is very special. We host a dinner where we highlight it's very difficult to choose, but we highlight our 10 winners. It's probably the nicest, that's a sad word. It's the most joyful event I think that I go to. It's empowering, and we always have young people there so they can really see what these adults are doing in the community. So that's again, speaking to the caring and helping young people understand that. Next slide. So our career panel, we host 2 of these, one in November and one in March. This is at the Hudson High School. And the goal here, and this speaks to achievement motivation, is to help young people see there's a reason that they're in school. There's a reason to keep up with their schooling and what their future might be. We invite 5 professionals in a variety of careers, and they speak to how they got where they are today. And as you imagine, I'm thinking, look at your own career path. Sometimes it's straightforward. You go from A to B to C, and sometimes it zigs and it zags. And it's so impactful for these kids to hear this, because I was just speaking to Mr. Tobin, and he was saying, they're so stressed out at this age. They've got so much, I have to have my whole life mapped out. Yeah, no. And that's often the message that you get from these professionals. So like I said, we offer this twice a year. We have a grant from the Burton Morgan Foundation, so we're super fortunate to be able to do that. Next slide. Ready, Set, Relax is sort of like the easiest thing we do, but arguably, in theory, the most impactful. This speaks to, again, community valuing youth. It's exactly what it says. One special night with no homework to relax and engage with your family. We all think that's simple, and probably it's the hardest thing for families to do nowadays. We do reach out to the schools and always let them know about this date, ask that they not assign homework, reach out to the coaches and ask if they can keep practices ending a little early that night. That's hit or miss. But the goal here is to have kids or have families intact talking, have dinner together, take a walk together. Again, very, very simple activities, but it engages and it allows, it enables a young person to think that they're being heard because they are a community. Put your phone down, speak to one another. Again, simple, but we set aside a day for it. So that's Ready, Set, Relax. Next slide. Our holiday gift shop, we host this the first Saturday in September. And this speaks to youth programs because we get a lot of young people. They're basically running this. We currently have this at Eastwoods, and it's a craft, there's a craft fair for the parents to kind of keep them occupied, because the whole goal here is that the young children, and it's pre-K through 5, can go by themselves into the gym with a middle school elf, and they are shopping for gifts for their loved ones. They're given a sheet so we know who they are shopping for. They're given a budget. And these middle school elves, some of whom are, a little unsure themselves, they work together to purchase gifts with this young person. And then we have high school students who are wrapping and preparing. So by the time they walk out of the gym, they've got a stack of gifts and presents, and they're all wrapped. And the pride that you see on their faces when they come out, like, I've done this all by myself. It's also so great for the older kids because they see the modeling of their behavior and how it impacts these little ones. That sort of sense of mentorship. It's, again, you don't think about all of these assets as they're going into this, but when you see it modeled and when you see how it comes through, it's super satisfying and super exciting. Next slide. And here's probably one of the activities that I feel is the most important from what we offer. Uncharted Waters, What Seniors Need to Know. This typically happens in April. It is at the high school, and it is a day-long activity that speaks to helping the young children, or helping our kids with resistance skills. They're 18, or they're going to be 18, and a lot comes with being 18. There's legal ramifications. There's potentially moving out and living on your own. So we have speakers come in. Again, Judge Lisa Coates talks about, like I said, the legal aspect. We have safety people come in and talk about personal safety, both sort of to yourself, physical, sort of physical personal safety, as well as fire safety. We have a counselor come in and talk about stress management. So ironically, I've asked some of the kids, "Oh, what'd you get out of it?" And, "Oh, this was not, I've already heard all this stuff before." But then they pause and I'm like, really? There was not one takeaway? And always there's one thing that they say, well, yeah, such and such. And so obviously it's messaging. It's repeating things so that kids hear it. And if it's reinforced, then hopefully it gives them tools in their toolbox to utilize when they need. And that is, again, much of what this is all about. So next slide. So that's our proactive. That's what we do on a regular basis. We also, and this is where we are very fortunate to be able to pivot, reactive programming. And this is where the advisory board is super helpful because when we meet with them, they bring up a concern, an issue that as an organization, we can sort of pivot and respond to. And so last year, the messaging was mental well-being, and that coming out of COVID, a lot of our kids are struggling. They're stressed, and they're trying to figure out how to navigate life, basically. So we created what we call community of care programming. Next slide. And this is a five event series through the course of the year that we sponsored and provided the majority of these for parents, because you can't have everything focused solely on the kids, but one of these was also for students as well. Next slide. So our first speaker we were so fortunate to have her, Dr. Lisa D'Amour. She's a New York Times bestselling author, an internationally renowned speaker, talking to parents about how to raise compassionate, capable, and connected kids. She is a counselor with Laurel School. She advises for the New York Times, and her messaging was fantastic. We had a very robust audience, 400 plus people, and to the point where, if we can, we'd love to bring her back next year because we got such great feedback and so many people weren't able to be in attendance. So that was our launch. Next slide. We then partnered with State of Mind Hudson, who you may be aware of. They speak to also mental well-being. And we showcased this documentary, Connecting the Dots. And that was all about mental health from a global perspective. It was intense. And unfortunately, it wasn't heavily attended, but I will say for those of us who were there, it was super impactful. The comments afterwards were, I had some important takeaways that I felt like we can speak to from our organization's point of view. So we were fortunate to be able to present this. Next slide. So this is our Dr. Tim Bono. He's a university professor and expert consultant on psychological health and happiness. And he came in, we had him for 2 days. He spoke to the parents about helping their young people lead happier, more fulfilling lives. And that may seem very sort of cliched, but where you really saw his impact is we had him in the schools. We had him speaking to Hudson Montessori students. He was also at Reserve. He addressed their kids. And then he was also at Hudson. We had him with the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, all each class separately, obviously. And the very sort of just one takeaway from his message was, you need to find happiness inside. You're not going to find it outside. So using phones, likes and all the external validation of Instagram and posts and whatnot. He's like, that's not ever going to fulfill you. If you don't find the joy and happiness internally, and he provided a variety of means of finding that. So I sat through every one of his presentations and I got something new out of each one. He was super impactful. And I'll be honest, you're sitting in an auditorium with 350 kids that are all fidgety, whether they're 9th graders or 5th graders, and you could see their eyes glazed over. He started to talk, and I'm not going to say it was complete silence, but the kids engaged. And I really do believe there were takeaways there that are going to be long lasting for them. So we were very excited about Dr. Bono. Next slide. Just last month, we partnered with the Hudson Police Department, What You Don't Know and Why You Should. This was another nicely attended event. And basically, we had a variety or several officers talking about, this is what it's like out there. These are what they're seeing. These are the calls that they're responding to. Trying to educate parents about the warning signs of a teen engaging in risky behavior, internet victimization, what parents can do to, you're never going to stop that from happening, but maybe how to handle that. So that was, we were really, Chief Perry, he was great to work with, and we will be doing this on an annual basis for sure. And he'll update, unfortunately, with whatever new stuff is going to be coming out that we can't even anticipate. And there's no slide, but our final event is actually going to be a webinar, and it's called Helping a Child in Crisis. And we're specifically making this a webinar because it's going to deal with the warning signs of severe depression, suicidal thoughts, local resources, tools for parents and children, and a message of hope. And it didn't seem like something you really want to be sitting in an auditorium. This is something you're going to want to view in the safety and comfort of your own home, and maybe review, because you don't always know when those moments are going to occur, but you want to know that there's a place that can provide you maybe with some information and tools as to how to handle what has happened. So that will be our final event, and that will be in April. Next slide. So in addition to all of that, we are the conduit for 2 scholarships. One is the Michael Whaley Award. A young man was in a bad place. Two of his friends recognized that, went to this young man's parents and sort of, made them aware of the situation and probably saved that young man's life. So that scholarship speaks to someone who's done that, and some of those nominations are kind of scary, but very powerful. And it's one way we have of recognizing how people impact others. The Primrose Hudson Community First Leadership Award is through the Primrose School, and that speaks to an individual who is really committed to Hudson Community First, and it is typically our high school youth board president. Next slide. So, sort of in brief, this year, this is sort of our outreach, our impact in terms of our programs, our youth board, community members who were literally in attendance, the faculty and staff at all the schools who we were able to touch through our various events, and our students. I mean, this is what we are here for. 5,000 students in Hudson, and we tap them in a variety of ways through one of our events. Next slide. How do we do this? Well, we can't do it for free. So we apply for grants. We have our annual fund that we do obviously regularly, donations, personal, also company donations we receive, and Toast to Hudson. Terry referenced your fundraiser. I've been to the Rotary Gala. It's a great event. We too have Toast to Hudson. It's Friday, so I'm like, my brain is, doing 20 million things at once. But it is our primary means of revenue. And to be honest, how well we do there dictates what we can do through the course of the year. We were very fortunate last year that it was successful, and that allowed us to do the community of care programming, and to be able to bring in some of these big speakers, which we're very hopeful we'll be able to do again this year. Last slide. So again, this is me. This is a QR code if you want to go directly to our site, our website, look at us in more detail, make a donation. And then I wanted to leave you with this photo. This is Sophie Udawal and Alana Walker. They are on the youth board, the executive board. And one of the activities that the youth board does is a carnation sale. And so we, Hudson Community First, purchased the carnations through Costco at a discounted rate. And then the high school students sell them. I think it's $2 per carnation, and you can attach a little message. They're delivered on Valentine's Day, and all the money that the high school raises goes to the Orkiza School in I want to say Tanzania, and it sponsors 2 scholarships for 2 young ladies. So that, I think, is super impactful, because it speaks to service to others and equality and social justice. And it's the fact that it's been going on now several years. That's through the initiative of Mark Zustin. He is one of the teacher advisors for Hudson Community First at the high school. And the kids know this and they understand it. And it's a super great event. So that's Hudson Community First in a nutshell. And I welcome any questions or comments people might have.
Jennifer, I mean, I hope everyone here appreciates that, first, what you're doing. And I love this thing, and this room takes me back to when I first had my conversation with my dad about these assets, the developmental assets that a community needs to kind of have in place for students to do well, to succeed, to be healthy, to be caring, all these things. I mean, this is like a real formula for what we hope to have in our community and to help our kids with. And then I love the fact that you also have this top 40 ways that any adult in our community can help. I mean, these all relate to these.
Well, exactly. And that's why I handed them out. If you want
Yeah.
to keep this, look at it, maybe, you know, do one a day or incorporate in your life. I mean, anyone.
Yeah.
These are good for in any relationships, any connections. Again, it seems simple. Maybe some of this seems like, oh, it's so obvious.
Well, number 6, thank them. So like every Rotarian here can thank Noah on the way out today, right? Noah, you're going to get washed today. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I also wanted to have you tell us again about the last program that you said that we're going to have this year. How does that work? Tell us about that one more time. You said
The
it's
webinar.
yeah, webinar.
Yeah,
It's going to be at
so-
home.
We will be taping it through HCTV. It'll be a panel of experts. We're working with Cara Wright through Life Act, as well as we hope to have a medical doctor and either a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And we will pre-tape it. We've actually in March's issue of Hudson Life, we have a QR code asking for people to submit questions that they would like the panel to address. So then we'll tape it probably the very end of March-ish. And then we will be able to broadcast it through our website. So it'll be, you know, pre-taped and also through HCTV. I don't know how we're actually meeting next week to sort of work through the details. So, but the point is, it's not a live event. It's a pre-recorded event. This is going to be probably geared a little bit more toward parents. But again, that's the point. Cara she through Life Act speaks to both adults and children. So her messaging will try to straddle both. But if you do too much for too many, then the whole message is diluted. So again, this is something we'll be sort of talking about in more detail.
Hey, Jennifer, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Great presentation. Really appreciate it. More of a comment than a question. But these top 40 ways, I mean, for me, I'm in the middle of Lent. Well, not even the middle of it. I'm just at the beginning of it, and I'm limping along already. But in a lot of Christian traditions, we give stuff up for Lent, right? This is a time of fasting and self-reflection and all that sort of stuff. But I always encourage my parish, don't just give something up, take something up, do something, make something, you know, positive. And these are 40 great ways. And I just want to, hey, this is a great Lenten discipline right here. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest and say this preceded me when Laura and I were looking through materials in the Baldwin House office. These were solicited by kids. So it's not like I came up with these. These were young people coming in and saying, you know, respect me, be honest with me, call me by my name. And I think that's something I'm guilty of not always doing. So at any rate, yeah, I'm super glad for you to say that, because it's these intentional acts that can have such impact. So yes, let's all take that up for for ourselves. Well, thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I, for one, really got a lot from this because I wasn't really 100% sure what Hudson Community First was doing. And I'm sure that probably others of you may have had the same questions. Very well presented, very good information. I think we're all always, I mean, the youth of our community is our community. So it's very important to keep them involved and happy to be here. And I see so many young people in my line of work. I find so many who come back to Hudson with their families. I think I've mentioned this before, simply because it was such a great environment that they grew up in. They want to bring their children here and give them the opportunity to grow up here. Marilyn? And it's just important to make our kids feel that way.
I'd like to remind people that Rotary was one of the donors that made the very first uncharted waters available. It was one of our gala beneficiaries. So I'd also like to announce that we're partnering with them this year in a new and innovative way. We're working together to support each other's fundraisers. This Friday night at Lake Forest, there'll be 5 Rotarians there doing registration for their event. They aren't going to have to pay anyone to do that. And in May, when we have our event, they'll be bringing a crew of volunteers. And hopefully we will both have better events because of this cross working together. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think our community likes this when we work together. So Jennifer, yeah, we're going to have a good time on Friday night.
Yeah, there are several of us who are going to go and help check people in. As you know, at our gala, that's the hardest part of the whole evening, is getting everybody checked in a timely fashion. And so that's what we're going to go help them. And then they're going to come help us. And again, as Marilyn said, it saves us all money, helps us interact with one another, reciprocate with one another, and hopefully expand both of our groups in a bigger and better way, because people understand what's going on in both of them. And of course, it all benefits the community, which is the goal. So anyway, yep, great presentation. I enjoyed it. I hope everyone did. Okay, today our Rotabuck is worth $8. I just heard on my way in that the winner is already designated because he bought the right time frame. According to Pat, whoever buys their ticket after him is always the winner. So we'll see. Jennifer, would you mind drawing a ticket for us? Go ahead.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I have my cards. Okay, the winning number is 924955. Oh, Mr. Todd, well, it's your day. It is just your day. Okay, there's that. And let's see if you can really make it a banner day here. Okay, it's in there. Oh, you were so close. Okay, no winner today. For the bets. Okay, thank you. Okay, Bill.
Jennifer, I want to thank you for your presentation today. And I think we ought to form a special group that goes beyond children, and it's a group for spouses. And I think your list here would be perfect for how to be a better spouse. Listen to some of these things. Encourage them to think big, be honest with them. Believe in them, let them make mistakes. How about that? Smile a lot, share their excitement, give them space when they need it. These are great things for a spouse to do to us. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Oh, I dropped something, fell off.
Oops.
Something
Okay,
fell off my
right.
wall.
if we
What
don't
is it,
have
the
any
whole thing?
other
Oh,
points of interest today, then we will call it a day. Everybody go out there, do something on this list
There it is, yeah.
today.
thank you, Father.
Make it your goal to accomplish
I won't say
something.
what I
I'm
lost,
sure
but
out of 40 items,
lost my
there's
thoughts.
something you can do. Yeah, you could start
Thank
by
you.
thanking Noah. That is correct. Okay, make it a great day, everybody.